Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Paying Your Tuition and Fees live session. My name is Katie Russo. I am the Assistant Director of Intercultural Programs. Today, we will be joined by Lisa from the Bursar office, and she will talk to you a little bit about their office and how to pay your tuition and fees, because I know that is very complicated. But a few logistics first. You can see and hear us, but we cannot see or hear you. You will be able to ask questions in the comment box in the right side of your screen. Put a little picture of it there. It looks like two conversation boxes with a question mark. We will turn on the question function towards the end of the presentation. This just allows you to watch the presentation. Maybe your question will be answered throughout the presentation. And then we'll turn that on and post a message when you get to ask your questions, and we'll go through those at the end. Closed captioning is available if you need some language support. So look for the CC button in the bottom right of your screen. You should be able to do closed captioning in multiple languages, depending on what language you would like that in. However, for now, I'm going to introduce Lisa. Flower, can we go to the next slide? So Lisa Davis is the Supervisor of Student Accounts. And Lisa, I will let you take it away.
Hello, everyone. On behalf of the Bursar office, I'd like to welcome you to the UT Dallas community. I hope that everyone is safe and healthy during this time. I know that what I'm going to be talking about today is a little complicated sometimes. But it is very important. I know it's not the fun part of going to college, learning about how to read your tuition, how we're charging you, how to pay. That's not always fun, and it can be a little stressful. So I want to make sure that I'm able to clearly explain some of this to you, and also at the end, ask some questions if you don't understand. I'm going to go through some of the slides quickly. Some of them I'll spend a little bit more time on. I want to make sure I give you enough time at the end to ask your questions. So we can go ahead and go to the next slide. So our office functions, I'm going to go over some of the Bursar office functions. We assess, bill, and collect on all tuition and fees. We collect on housing charges that are on your bill. We collect on meal plan charges. We can answer questions about your billing statement. We also implement the payment and refund schedule, and we'll go over what that is here in a few minutes. And we also maintain online services through EasyPay. I'm not sure if you've heard of EasyPay yet, but I'll go over a little bit about what EasyPay is. A lot of times when you email our office, we'll say, well, have you looked at EasyPay? And so you will hear that a lot. And we also do processing of refunds. So if a student is owed money back for whatever reason, that would be done through our office as well. We don't do payroll for work study, but we do process refunds. So that would be really the only kind of check that you would receive from our office. Our contact information is down here as well. We're here to help you. We're here to support you. If you ever don't understand something, please contact us, because it doesn't matter how silly you may think it is. We're here to help you, and we want to make sure that you understand everything, excuse me, as it relates to the Bursar office, your bill, and tuition. You can go ahead and go to the next slide, please. So here at UT Dallas, we don't charge a flat tuition rate. We have what's called tuition plans. So all new incoming students will be able to choose between two tuition plans. That's basically the way that I like to describe the tuition plan. It's a specific rate for a specific number of hours. So again, we don't do a flat rate. So if you're taking, it's not, $500 per credit hour times 10 credit hours and you get $5,000. It doesn't work that way. It's however many hours you're taking, there's a set rate for that. So there's a set rate for 1 credit hour. There's a set rate for 2 credit hours. And so the more credit hours you take, the cheaper each credit hour becomes. So it's really important that you take a look at those tuition plans, do a comparison. There's the variable tuition plan. That one is based on a traditional plan. It only locks your rate in for 1 year. So your rate would be for 1 academic year, and then the next year it could change. All students who do not make a decision will be locked into this variable plan. You also have the option to opt into the guaranteed tuition plan, which will lock your rate in for 4 consecutive years. So this protects the student against any rate increases for those 4 years. The good thing about that, if you're on a budget and you need to plan for the future, if you're going to be here for a little while, and you need to plan, this is good for those students because you know how much you're going to pay for 12 hours, you know how much you're going to pay for 9 hours. You can look at that chart, and that's good for 4 years, so you don't have to worry about those rate increases. Again, we do have a deadline to choose that plan. It's August the 8th. If no choice is made by that date, then you will be defaulted into the variable tuition plan. You can go ahead and move forward on that one. There is a couple of slides on tuition, so and how we charge tuition and how to select the plan. So all students should have received an email. If you're accepted to the university, you should have received an email notifying you that a tuition plan choice is available. There are instructions on that email. I've also listed the instructions here. What you'll see is a service indicator on your account. We also call those holds. Sometimes there's good holds and bad holds. I know the word hold, when we say hold, usually the students immediately think of, you know, I have a hold, I can't do something. That doesn't always ring true in this situation. A service indicator just lets you know that there is something that needs to happen on your account. It doesn't always mean that that you can't register or look at your account or anything like that. You'll also have a to-do list item, and that's where you'll click on the to-do list item on your task tile in the service center. So when you go to your student service center, hopefully everybody's been into Orion, into their student service center, and you see the Bursar tile. When you click on that, it will give you the option to choose between the 2 plans. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. It asks you, I choose the variable tuition plan, I choose the guaranteed tuition plan, and you click on that one. Make sure you follow all the steps because you do have to submit your choice. Some students do go in there and they'll click on it and they won't follow the process through, and then it'll kind of get stuck in that spot and they'll wonder, well, why didn't I, you know, I chose the guaranteed plan, but for some reason I'm being charged the variable rate. And when we go back and look, it doesn't look like the student ever submitted their choice. So make sure you follow that whole process through until you get to submit, and then your choice will finally be processed through. The service indicator that's on your account or the hold will be removed either once you make your selection or the deadline to make a decision has passed. So August 8th, that hold will come off the next day once that deadline has passed, if you haven't gone in to make your choice. Again, as I stated on the previous slide, students with the service indicator will remain on the variable tuition plan if no active decision is made. So you want to have a say in what you're going to be charged. So again, go out online, look at the comparison, look at the 2 rates, kind of see, you know, what's going to work best for you. Are you going to be here 4 years? Is that going to be something that would benefit you to stay on the guaranteed plan? Or are you only going to be here for 1 year or maybe 2? Maybe the variable plan is better for you. So please go online and look at those tuition plans and make a choice if you can. Again, you will be defaulted into the variable plan if you don't make a choice. You can move on to the next slide, please. This is just an image of our tuition plan. Sometimes students do get confused, so I do like to show what the plan looks like, because when you go out, it just looks like a bunch of dollar amounts on the screen. So if you look at it, you can see that it's broken down in resident and non-resident tuition. You have undergraduate and graduate students. So depending on what level you are, you'll see, you'll go to the graduate or undergraduate side, and then you'll look at resident or non-resident, and then you'll follow the credit hours on your, if you're looking at the screen, it would be on your left-hand side. So you would go down to the number of credit hours. You say you're going to be in 9 credit hours, and you're going to go over on that line, and you're going to find which column that you fall under. Are you resident undergraduate? Are you resident graduate? Are you non-resident undergraduate or non-resident graduate? And then most students are going to fall into that first column for each section. So the fall, spring, 11-week, summer session, you're usually going to fall into that session unless you're in the summer and you're taking like a 5-week only or an 8-week only. Even if you're taking an 11-week and an 8-week in the summer, you would still follow the first column. So again, I like to show this because I know it can be very confusing to just see a bunch of numbers on the screen. You can go ahead and go to the next slide. I have one more slide. No more slides about tuition, but we do have information about tuition estimates. So our tuition calculations take place approximately 6 to 8 weeks prior to the beginning of the term. So I know that if you register right now, your bill would be ready. Your tuition calculation would be done within a few hours of registering. However, when you get ready to register for the spring semester, we open that registration up sometime in November. And so that's a little bit further out than 6 to 8 weeks prior. So your bill wouldn't be ready at that time. And I do know that some students need to provide documentation of billing to their sponsor or maybe to secure some type of a loan funding. So we do have these options for you to actually go on and do a tuition estimate. As long as you're a registered student, you can go into your student service center, which I mentioned on a previous slide. Again, you're going to definitely want to get familiar with that. The student service center with the Bursar tile or the Bursar account, and then tuition estimate, and you'll put in how many hours you plan on taking. It should base that on your registration status, as far as your grade level, the tuition plan you're on. So it should be able to calculate that. There's some information again that you'll need to put in, but that's a good estimate to be able to use for your sponsor or for loan funding or whatever it is you need it for. And then once the billing statement is actually out, you can actually pull the billing statement in the same place. You're just going to go to account statement instead of tuition estimate. And these are really good resources if you need to know how much you're going to owe and have that sent to someone. You can go ahead and go to the next slide. We do get a lot of questions about scholarship recipients. Some of you may be receiving a scholarship from the university. All university scholarships will automatically be applied directly to your student account. That doesn't go to you and then you're responsible for paying. That will be applied to your account, so you don't have to worry about getting that money and applying it to your account on your own. If you do receive a scholarship of $1,000 or more, that does qualify you for the resident tuition rate. So the way that works is you will still see on your bill, if you're a non-resident student, you will see the non-resident tuition charge. But then you will also see a credit post or a waiver, is what we call it, on your account for the difference between the non-resident rate and the resident rate. So again, I know students will get worried because they'll see that amount for the non-resident rate and they'll think they're being charged the non-resident rate, which technically they are, but we're giving them a waiver of the difference because they're receiving that $1,000 scholarship. So it's important for you to keep an eye on your account and make sure that waiver gets posted on there. All scholarship recipients will receive an extended deadline. So when you're looking at the payment and refund calendar, you're going to want to follow the financial aid recipient. Even if that's the only financial aid you're receiving, excuse me, even if that's the only financial aid you're receiving, you still follow that deadline. And I'll go over what that deadline is here in just a few minutes. And of course, like I mentioned, scholarship recipients are expected to verify that their waiver is on, verify that their scholarships have been posted, because we're going to allow you to pay once those are on your account. But if they're not posted by the deadline, you still will be responsible for paying. So you want to make sure and keep an eye on it in your Easy Pay account to see if those have posted. If it hasn't been posted within a few days prior to your posted deadline, you definitely want to contact your department or financial aid to find out if there's something delaying the process of your scholarship or your waiver. You can go ahead and go to the next slide. So I mentioned the payment and refund calendar in a few slides back. So the payment and refund calendar is very important. Students are responsible for knowing the payment refund calendar. Well, we don't expect you to memorize it, don't get me wrong, but we do expect that you'll go look at it, that you know what information to find on that calendar. So if you're wondering, when is my deadline? When are they going to post our charges? All of that's on there. So you're going to see the estimated dates for generating the bills. You're going to see the payment deadlines. You're going to see late fees if you don't pay. You're going to see which day, how much those late fees are, and what days those will begin being charged. You're going to see payment plan options. So if you are going to take out a payment plan, a short-term loan or installment, which I'll go over here in a few minutes as well, you'll see information about that and the due dates for those. And then you'll also see information about a refund for dropping a class or completely withdrawing from the university. I know we don't want to think about that part of having to drop classes or withdrawing, but we know that does happen. So it's good to know where to find that information. Again, we're going to go into more detail about some of this in a minute. So our fall deadline is specifically stated on our fall 2020 payment and refund calendar. I'm going to go ahead and tell you what that is. It's August the 13th. So for regular payment deadline for students that are not receiving any type of financial aid, their payment deadline would be August 13th, which is coming up pretty quickly. And then if you're a financial aid recipient, so as I mentioned, if you're receiving that scholarship of $1,000 or more, or any type of scholarship from the university, any type of funding from the university, you're going to follow that financial aid deadline, which for this semester is August the 27th. So you can see that you get a little bit of extra time. And the reason we do that is not to be unfair to the students who are who don't have financial aid. It's just we have to give our financial aid office a little bit more time to get those students financial aid process, because it is a process that has to go if the department is awarding a scholarship to a student. That department has to notify financial aid. Financial aid has to process that onto the student account. So sometimes that can take a little bit more time. And so again, it's not to punish anyone, but it is just to give the financial aid office just a little bit more time so that they can do their processes. Please verify that each semester that you're receiving financial aid, that you do have that extension on your account. The way you're going to verify that is when you go into your student account and you're going to see the Bursar tile. It's going to actually have your due date on there. So if you notice, let's just use these dates for an example. If you notice that your date shows August 13th and you know that you're supposed to be receiving a scholarship, you would need to find out why that is showing August 13th and not August 27th. It may be that the financial aid office has not been notified that you're receiving the scholarship. So you want to check with them and find out what's going on and why it doesn't show that you have the extension. But every semester you should see your specific payment deadline on the Bursar tile in your student center. You can go ahead and move on to the next slide. So I did mention Easy Pay. Again, you're going to hear that a lot. Easy Pay services, some of the things that you can do, you can make payments online through Easy Pay. You can actually view your billing statement. I know I mentioned that you can get your billing statement in your student service center. You can also view your billing statement in Easy Pay. It's going to look a little bit different than the one in Orion. So if you need to print one out for someone for a loan, you're going to want to use the one that's in Orion. But you can see all of the charges in Easy Pay. You can set up a direct deposit. We'll talk a little bit more about that here in just a few minutes. And you can add an authorized user. And the reason I have a star by that one is because that's something that we encourage all students to do if you have someone that is going to be wanting to help you pay or view your need to view your charges. Maybe it's a parent or a grandparent or someone that you want to be able to look at your account, just your billing. It's not going to allow them to see your grades or go in and register you for classes, because we don't, we ask that you do not give your net ID and your password out to other people other than yourself. And sometimes you may have a parent who wants to look at your information that has to do with billing, because they say, well, I'm helping you, or I'm going to be paying for you, so I want to be able to see that. So this is why we have this add an authorized user function. And all they need is an email address. So when you go into Easy Pay, there's a section where you can click on add authorized user. You're going to put their email address in, and then they're going to get an email, and then they're going to set it up. So it's not a lot on your part to go set that up. You just need to put in their email address and give them authorization to be an authorized user. And then also, again, I have a star next to the set up the installment plan, because we do have students who need a payment plan, and this is where you're going to set up the installment plan. So we have another plan called the short-term loan, and that's set up somewhere else. So so I'll go over that one here in a minute, but that's why I had those marked, because I really wanted to show that those were, you know, two that really students and international students or domestic students, either one will use Easy Pay for these two options. And then you're going to log in using your net ID and password. So it's no different than your email. It's no different than logging into Orion. It's still the same username and password. So your net ID and password. And I do have the path if you need the path. It's just UT Dallas/Bursar payments, and then go to Easy Pay. Or you can go in the search bar, which a lot of people like to do, and I even do that myself, is just type in Easy Pay in the search bar. But you can go on to the next slide, please. Some of our payment methods, I'm going to go over two different slides of payment methods. In Easy Pay specifically, you can use a credit card. There is a fee to use a credit card. We only take MasterCard, American Express, and Discover. Unfortunately, we don't take Visa. We've never taken Visa, so if you have a Visa card, you can't use that in Easy Pay, unfortunately. If you have a travel card, you can use that, and it's treated like a credit card as long as it doesn't have the Visa logo. You should be able to use it in Easy Pay. And if you have questions, if you're using a travel card, you can always email us and we'll help you with that. You can use an electronic check. However, that does have to be on a US bank account. You have to have a US routing number and bank account number. So there is no fee to do that. So if you end up getting while you're here, or when you get here, if you get a US bank account, you can use that with no fee. You can use an electronic check from your bank account. There are a few things that are different this coming semester for the fall, with things being a little different again. We are not going to be accepting in-person payments in the fall. So normally when our office is open, we would accept payments out the window, check payments, cashier's check, demand drafts. We even would accept cash to some extent. You know, we don't prefer that you bring your full non-resident tuition payment in cash, because that's dangerous for you, and that's a lot of cash to be counting at the window. But we do take cash normally at the window at this time. Unfortunately, we're not going to be taking, until further notice, we're not going to be taking payments in person. Everything's going to have to be either done through mail or through our Easy Pay system online. So if you do have a check that you're going to be sending, or a demand draft, you're going to need to mail that. The mail process is a little bit slow right now. It's taking about 3 weeks. So I know those students who have the August 13th deadline, it's going to take a little bit of time to get that payment in, since we're what, about 2 weeks out, a little over 2 weeks out from that. So if you are using a demand draft, make sure it's made out to UT Dallas, and then you can put it in the mail and send it as soon as possible. You can maybe email us and let us know it's on its way. That way we can possibly, you know, hold you if you have that deadline for the August 13th. Please do not hesitate to contact us. If you're worried about deadlines, if you're not sure what's going to happen, and you're doing your very best and you're trying to get things done, we're not scary, we're not mean. We want you to contact us. We may be able to assist you, give you a little bit of extra time. So please do reach out to us. Again, this is our mailing address here. This is where you're going to want to mail the check. or the demand draft if you're going to be mailing in a payment. So you can go ahead and move on to the next slide. I do know that we have a lot of students, especially international students, that like to use an international wire. UT Dallas actually partners with a company called Flywire. We do not do international wires directly to the university. You would have to go through Flywire to get those processed. There is no additional fees associated with the payments through Flywire. And I have listed the steps to initiate the Flywire payment. That's going to be done in your Galaxy account through your student portal, student account. Bursar, there's steps here. Payment options. You're going to click on Flywire. It's a good thing it's on here, so maybe you can go back and look at it, or you can take a screenshot of it. That way you can have that path. So you know exactly where you need to go to do that, because we make it very simple. You just follow the steps. It'll open a new window. It'll ask you, do you want to open a new window? You'll say yes. And then if you don't have an account already, it'll have you create an account. But it's really nice because it does connect directly to your account. So it should already populate the amount of your balance. So you don't have to go back and forth and look, well, let me go see what my balance is. You can actually, it should populate the actual balance. There are some additional details, obviously, that you would have to add regarding your payment. So again, make sure if you're doing an international wire and you contact us and you say, hey, I want to send it directly to the university, we're going to say, well, you need to go through Flywire. You can say, oh yeah, I remember Lisa told us that. In the event that you're not able to get the funding before August 13th, you may want to consider the short-term loan, which is another payment option that I'm going to go over with our payment plans. I'll explain the installment plan, which I mentioned earlier, and the short-term loan. I believe it's on the next slide, so you can go ahead and go down to the next slide. So we do have two payment plan options. The installment plan, that one is going to require down payment. It will include all of your fees. So if you have tuition and fees, if you have housing, I'm sure you've been able to take time to read over it. The short-term loan is really the one that I wanted to focus on because it doesn't require down payment. So I know an international student who maybe can't make the 25% down would like to do the short-term loan, which means that there would be no down payment. It would go ahead and extend your payment out for 60 days past census day. For the fall semester, that would put you out to October the 11th. So it would give you a little bit more time. So if you're still trying to secure your funding, maybe for a loan or from a sponsor, that would give them more time to actually get that funding together. Again, no down payment required. There is a fee for that, a 1.25% origination fee. And this one is going to be done in Orion. So it's going to be done in your student portal. So again, here's the steps to do that. You'll see you're going to go in, follow the steps, and it'll take you to the short-term loan. There's a little bit of a process once you get to the short-term loan. It'll ask you for some terms, and then you just agree to those terms, and then you move on, and then that should give you that extension. It does not cover the student insurance or any other fees on your account, so that still would be due by the payment deadline, and we usually use the financial aid deadline for that one. So August the 27th would be the deadline for the other fees. So the student insurance, if you have housing or meal plan, that one would be on the 27th. So you can go ahead, go ahead and move on to the next slide. I know we don't like to talk about this part too much because we plan that you are going to love your classes and you're going to have a great time and you're going to love your professors. And but there are times when maybe a class doesn't work out for you, or for some reason you need to completely withdraw from a semester. It's really important that you understand that since we are a state institution, a state of Texas institution, the refunds for dropping those courses is set by the state. There is a difference between dropping a course and completely withdrawing. They don't have the same financial impact. So if you are going to drop a class and you go to your advisor and they say, sure, you can drop a course, please contact our office and ask us what's going to happen financially. Because you may not get a refund for that. You may assume, well, my advisor told me that I could drop that course and they said it was just fine. But they didn't explain that, well, even though you're dropping it academically, that's fine, but you're still going to be charged for that class. So make sure you always contact us when you drop a class, as well as your advisor. And if you have financial aid, if you're receiving a scholarship, you definitely want to contact them as well, because sometimes there are, you do have to stay at a certain status to keep those scholarships. So if you fall below 12 hours, or if you're 9 hours and it's 9 hours required, and then you drop that class, you may lose that scholarship. So it's very important to find out what's going to happen when you drop a class. If you drop a class but you remain in at least one other session course, you actually would get a refund on that course up through our census day for the full session term, or the census day for each of, if you're in a shorter session like the first 8 weeks or second 8 weeks. The dates are listed here. But if you're going to completely withdraw from the university, so let's say something happened and you're just not able to attend, but you registered for classes, please withdraw from those classes prior to the first day of class. So whatever the first official day of class is, you would need to withdraw from all of those classes prior to the first day. Even if your class doesn't start till that Tuesday, it still has to be done prior to the official start of classes. So if the classes start on that Monday, even if your class isn't till Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday, you still have to drop prior to that Monday. And then I also have the dates listed here for those withdrawals. You can go ahead and move on to the next slide. So sometimes the student will question why they see a credit balance. A credit balance just it shows up on your account as a negative balance on your statement. So I gave you an example. You might see, when you owe us money, it's going to say, $1,000. But if we owe you money, it's going to say negative $1,000 or negative $550, as I gave the example here. When you see that a credit on your account, it takes about 2 to 4 business days for us to start processing those credits. If you have a U.S. bank account and you're able to set up a direct deposit account in Easy Pay, those will go out within 1 to 3 business days. If you do not have a direct deposit set up, we will send a check to a local address. So if you have a U.S. address, we'll send a check, and it takes about 2 weeks. If you have sent a payment through Flywire, and let's say you drop a class and we owe you money back, or you withdraw, then we could actually send that back through Flywire. So what you would need to do on that one, if we see that there's no direct deposit account, because we always look for that first, and then if there's no local U.S. Address, we would do that step next, and then we would automatically send it through Flywire if we did not have one of the other 2 options. If you do have a local address and you wanted it to go back through Flywire, you would need to contact us and let us know that you want it to go back through Flywire. But again, if you pay through a wire, we can actually send it back through a wire. So don't worry that if you don't have either one of the first 2, there is a way to get your money back if you've paid in excess of what you owe. So you can go ahead and move on to the next slide. Good morning, everyone. Okay, some of the frequently asked questions. How do you know which tuition plan to choose? I kind of said that a little bit earlier. Just think about how long you're going to be here. Look at the plans. The variable plan seems to be a little bit cheaper at the beginning, maybe the first year, maybe even into the second year. But once you hit the 3rd and 4th year, the guaranteed plan is definitely going to be a cost savings. So if you know how long you're going to be here, that's going to help you make that decision. Can you tell me how much I owe before I register? You can do the tuition estimate only. We really can't let you know how much you owe. So I had mentioned that earlier. And this is just kind of like a recap of some of the things I've went over, but we do get these questions a lot. Can you provide me with a fee statement? Yes, we can do that. You can do that yourself through the student portal. Again, I had talked about that earlier. Can I pay cash? At this time, you cannot pay cash. Maybe in the future when our office opens, you can pay cash. Again, we don't prefer that you pay cash, but we do take cash as of right now, we do take cash. My demand draft or wire is more than my tuition charges. Will I be refunded? Yes, you will be refunded. With a demand draft, we have to wait for that to process and make sure we receive all the funding. And once we receive the funding and we know that the funding is there, then yes, we will process a refund. Same with the wire transfer. If you pay in excess, some students will send a little bit more money than what they actually need to pay their tuition, because maybe they need some money for living expense or something like that, and we actually will refund that to you. So you can keep that in mind. But again, we have to make sure that everything's processed through our system, make sure that we're guaranteed that we have the funding, and then we'll refund you. Do I pay for my classes before my scholarship is posted? Only if your scholarship is not posted by the payment deadline. We would prefer that you go ahead and wait to have your scholarship posted and then pay your tuition. But if you know and you're seeing that it's not going to be posted by the deadline, then yes, you may have to pay before the scholarship is posted, but we prefer you don't. Same with the waiver. If you get a waiver, you know, we don't want you to pay the full non-resident tuition rate and then turn around and we'd have to refund you because you got a waiver because you got the resident rate. When is my tuition payment deadline? You can find that out on the payment refund calendar every semester. But for this coming semester, regular registration deadline August 13th. Financial aid deadline is August 27th. Why do I have a hold on my account? Again, I mentioned holds earlier. People hear the term hold and they think it's bad. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad, but you could have a hold because you have to choose your tuition plan. You could have a hold because you owe us a balance that may be past due, or the department may have a hold on you. Maybe they need more information, or sometimes you just need to contact your advisor to register, and that hold is on there to let you know to contact your advisor. If you need to get your insurance waived, students ask us a lot of times, why are you charging me student insurance? We can't take that off. You have to contact the student health services. You would have to show that you have other insurance, and then they would notify us to take that off. So that would definitely need to go through the student health services. And then, can I drop a class after classes have started? Yes, you can drop a class. Remember to always check with your advisor to see what's going to happen, and then also check with us, find out what's going to happen financially. Are you going to be charged for that class? Also with financial aid, because again, there are different things that could happen with each department. So it's different on the academic side than it is on the financial side. Just because your advisor says that you could drop it doesn't always mean you're going to get money back. You can go ahead and move on to the next slide. I think we're just going to take some questions now, I believe. I think we're opening up the questions.
Yes, the questions are open.
Yay. I had time this time to do that, so that's good. I know last time I went over a lot of stuff and didn't have a lot of time for a lot of questions. So yes,
I will hand it over to Tamara so she can read those questions and let us know who needs to answer.
Okay.
Thank you, Lisa, for the presentation. I'll get right into the questions because we have quite a bit of them coming in at the moment.
Okay.
And before actually getting into the questions, I just want to maybe clarify or give a bit of context to the students in regards to the credit hours, just so that students know. Typically, classes tend to be about 3 credit hours per class. Of course, not all classes are 3 credit hours. Some are 2 or some are 4, depending on the class. But just as a general concept, because I know when I first came to America, I had to get used to that concept of a credit hour, and I noticed, most of them are 3 credit hours. So, but it depends on the specific class. Okay, so to get right into this very first question, it says, if I enrolled myself in 4 classes and later on drop a class, but I have not made any fee payment and want to add 1 more class, will I be charged double for the class I have dropped and added on later in the tuition fee balance?
Okay, so that is a really good question. So So if I'm understanding correctly, if you drop a class and you want to add a class later, it's really going to depend on the day that you do that. So if you are enrolled in, let's say, like you said, 4 classes, and then census day comes, that is your official enrollment as of census date. If you drop that class, you will still be charged for that class after census day. And if you add a class, it will be as if you are adding another class, and your tuition will go up to the tuition rate for 5 classes. So hopefully that makes sense. Do you think that's understandable, Tamara, would you say? It depends on really when you are planning on dropping that class. If you drop that class before census day and then you add the class, then you're not going to be charged, because whatever your enrollment status is as of census date, that is your official enrollment.
Okay. Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes. I think that's a very good answer.
To make it easy, before census day, you can change around your schedule and you won't have any issues financially. But if you wait till after census day, then there's a good chance that you're going to have some financial implications for changing your schedule.
Okay, perfect. Okay, the next question says, how much extra do online how much extra does the online course cost per credit? I could not find the information anywhere on the sites.
Okay, so since we are doing online classes and hybrid type classes for the fall semester, there is not an additional online charge for online courses. However, there is an exception to that. If you are in a program in the JSOM, in the School of Management, there are classes that are already online. They're always online. Those classes will continue to have the JSOM online fee, because those classes are already established. They're always online. They're very good courses. They've taken a lot of time to put them together in the online format. Those classes will have fees, but they are a specific set of courses within the JSOM. So if you're in a certain School of Management program that are already online, they will have a fee. And that one, the fees should be listed on the website. I believe it's on the JSOM website for those fees. I think it's $80 a credit hour. I don't know the exact amount at this point, but those classes do get charged the online fee. If you are just a regular student, you're not in a specific program in JSOM that's already online, and you're taking a class that's offered online, because a lot of our classes will be offered online this coming semester, there is no fee for those. There is no additional online fee. You'll get charged the regular tuition and fees, but there is no online fee for that. Did that answer the question?
Yes. Okay. Yes, I think that's a great answer. And if there are any more questions, as you said, particularly if you are in the JSOM program, then your advisor in JSOM, I'm sure, would also have more information on that. Okay, the next question says, well, I think you really did kind of touch on this, so you might not have to spend too long on this one, but it says, which is the best option for payment, variable or fixed tuition plan for a master's course of 2 years? There's another part that says, how much does the per credit cost, like how much will the per credit cost change in 1 year? Well, and any approximate amount for us to make a prediction. Okay, so I'll answer the second part of the question first. They estimate that tuition rates can increase about 3 up to 6%. So about 3% is normal. It could go up to 6%. It just depends on what they decide, but usually it's around 3 to 6%, somewhere between 3 and 6%. It can increase each year.
if you look at the tuition plan, the specific tuition plan, and you compare the actual rates, and the comparison does compare this year's rates. So if you just go to the comparison, it's going to show you a comparison of 4 years worth of tuition, one on the variable and one on the guaranteed. And it's going to show you the cost savings. If you're there for 4 years, it's going to show how much you saved for being on the guaranteed plan. Now, if you actually don't know how long you're going to be here and you go look at the plans individually and you kind of estimate, okay, I know I'm going to take this amount of credit hours per semester, and here's how much it's going to be per semester. You could kind of figure that math on your own. If you're going to do 2 years, you will notice again that the variable starts out cheaper, so you're probably going to be better on the variable, but I can't say for sure because I don't know how much it's going to be when they change the rates next year. So I wouldn't want to tell you for sure, but definitely the first year variable is going to be cheaper. That second year, it may be right around the same as the guaranteed. So it's probably, I can assume that's probably going to be about, the variable will be cheaper if you're going to be here 2 years or less.
Okay, great. All right, thank you. The next question says, I am an AES recipient. I have got my waiver, but my aid has not yet been dispersed. I want to pay just the amount with aid applied through Flywire. And then after the aid is dispersed, the amount I owe will be 0. What do you recommend?
Okay, so what I would recommend for that is financial aid. If you've already been awarded financial aid, you've already received your award and you know how much you're getting, you've already went online, you viewed it, and you've accepted the funds. They're probably going to have your aid dispersed by the first day of class. So you're going to want to wait until after the aid has been dispersed, and then go ahead and initiate your Flywire. The Flywire payments usually take about 7 days. I know I have on the action items here: choose your tuition plan, update your address as soon as possible, become familiar with the payment and academic calendar, establish a bank account. I've went through that, but the last one says allow 7 days for Flywire payments to be received by UT Dallas. So because we give you that little bit of extra time because you're receiving financial aid, go ahead. It's better to go ahead and wait until your aid has been dispersed. If you want, you can subtract your aid off of the total and then go ahead and do the initiation of the Flywire. But it would be better to go ahead and wait, because again, if you've already accepted it and they've already awarded you, you've already accepted it, then they should have it applied sometime around the first day of class.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay, I'm going to try to get through as much as possible. Thank you to everyone who has comments and questions for Lisa. We have about 26 questions, so I'm going to see if we can get through them in the time that we have. Okay, the next question says, is there a university-affiliated bank international students can open an account with?
No, we do not have a specific bank that we work with for students. We do not. I mean, we have a bank that we use for the university, but it's not. We don't have it set up where the students can work with that specific bank if they're international student. You would just need maybe check with some friends if you know someone already here in the U.S. and they've already set up an account. Find out, ask around, kind of see what they've done. There are banks that will open accounts for international students. We just don't have a specific one that we suggest.
Yes, and I was actually going to say that as well, Lisa. Checking with current students on campus will be very helpful. We can find cultural orgs that are on campus. So for example, there's the Indian Student Association, there's a Chinese also student organization. Many of the cultural orgs are on Facebook or on Instagram, so you can search for them there using just put UTD in front and maybe type like UTD, Indian Student Association, etc. Okay, the next question says, I am an international student. Can I pay a part of the fees through Easy Pay via my US bank account and the rest of the amount through Flywire. So basically they want to split up their payments.
Yes, you can make multiple payments. You can do it however you need to do it. You can go on, you can make the Easy Pay payment first and then go on and initiate the Flywire. It will only pull up the remaining balance that you owe. So definitely, yes, you can make multiple payments. If we were open, you could actually do some in cash at the window if we were open, or even in the spring, and then you could pay some on Easy Pay, and then you could do Flywire. It's however you need to do it. Yes, it doesn't have to be all in one lump sum.
Okay, great. Next question says, what if my electronic check does not reach the university address before August the 13th? Emailing the photocopy of the check that has been mailed already, will that suffice the requirements of meeting the payment requirement?
So if you are mailing, if you're going to mail a check, not an electronic check. Electronic check is done through Easy Pay. So if you're going to do if it's a U.S. bank account and a U.S. bank account with the routing number and a checking account, it would be easier to go on to do it on Easy Pay. If it's not and you need to mail the payment in, then you definitely want to let us know that payment is on its way. It doesn't necessarily meet the deadline, but we could work with you. So if I say, yes, it meets the deadline, and then every student thinks that they mailed a check in and that meets the deadline, it doesn't necessarily, it normally that would not meet the deadline. But if you have a specific situation where, you've mailed it and we just have not gotten it, and you can show us that it's on its way, then we may be able to protect you.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Contact us. You need to let us know. That's not something that's going to be automatic, and I can't guarantee that would be something that we would do every semester, but we definitely want to work with you this semester.
Okay. And for those of you who are wondering, I did post the link to the tuition comparison tool, and also we posted as well the information to the Bursar's office that has more information about tuition and payments. Okay, next question. It says, I have taken a loan from Prodigy Finance, and they have notified me that they won't be able to process disbursement until September. This may lead to me having to pay late fees or the extra 1.25% if taken short-term loan. However, Prodigy had said they're talking with university regarding waiving these fees. Any update on this?
So the loans actually go through the financial aid office. So when you apply for a loan, the financial aid office receives a certification request. They will actually process that certification, and then the lender actually lets them know when the funds are going to be coming to the university. Unfortunately, we have not been notified of them asking us to waive fees for students who are receiving Prodigy loans. Our only suggestion at this point would be for you to take out the short-term loan. So if you already know that it's not going to be here by the August 27th deadline for financial aid, right now our suggestion is for you to take out the short-term loan. That is the only way to get your deadline extended and protect you from being dropped for non-payment. So right now that is the only option that we have. If something comes through, we would definitely, the financial aid office would probably be the one that would notify you that that there's going to be some kind of exception. But at this point, I have not heard anything about any exceptions of waiving fees on the short-term loan for Prodigy students.
Okay, thank you. Next question says, I am able to see, they say outstanding payment. I'm not sure. Yeah, maybe you'll understand.
Maybe the payment deadline extension?
Well, it says, I'm able to see outstanding payment of over $16,000 in my Bursar account, which includes my tuition fee and health insurance. I'm a PhD student and I was awarded GTS, and also I'm pursuing this semester virtually. So do I have to pay insurance? Please help me understand.
That would be a question for, if it's on your account, then yes, you are being required to pay the student insurance. That would be something you need to contact health services and find out if it's something that you're going to need to pay. But if it's on your bill right now, then yes, that is something that you're being charged. As far as if you're getting a scholarship, or a waiver, those have not necessarily been applied yet. So if you are a TA, an RA, a graduate assistant, whatever it is, those have to go through the financial aid office. It could be that the department has not notified the financial aid office. It does take time for them to process those, so some of those have not went on. So if you still see the full amount and you don't see a waiver, just give it a little bit of time as your deadline starts approaching, maybe within like a week or so of the deadline for the financial aid deadline. If you have the extension, then you definitely want to contact your department and find out why they have not notified financial aid that you're receiving the graduate assistant funds.
Okay.
So
Okay. Yeah. I see, Katie. Do we have any more time, or is our time up?
I think our time is about up. Okay. So we were able to answer a lot of questions. If you did not get your question asked, Lisa, I know you provided your contact information, and maybe you can post the Bursar office email address in the Q&A section. You should have access to that. But we do appreciate all of you coming to our session. We hope to see you next Tuesday. Those of you who will be studying online, it is virtual learning at UT Dallas, and we'll have representatives from JSOM and computer science talking a little bit more about what their department has as resources for you, and some recommendations just about being an online student and how to be productive. But we are really glad that you were able to attend. So thank you so much, and we hope to see you again soon. Goodbye.